All right. Well, on that note, Jim, our next question is one that we've received several variations from lately from a lot of different people. It's one of those things where all of a sudden, I guess, maybe the clips are going around again. A lot of new listeners, a lot of younger fans discovering Jim Cornette for the first time.
It's like when you discover Santa Claus isn't real when you discover that I am.
Well, on that topic, I'm going to read you one of these questions, but feel free to talk about the whole series or anything you want to say here. This was sent to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com from Dorian. I just watched some of the promos you did on Monday Night Raw from 1997.
Oh, God.
2 questions. Firstly, was Vince aware of what you were going to say before you said it? And also, regarding the promo you cut on Phil Mushnick, where at the end of one of them you gave his work address and it was put on screen so people could tell him what they think, did you ever get anyone from the New York Post telling you not to do so?
Not me. I don't know if they called the office or not, but they didn't pass it along to me. There were some bright spots in those. The whole thing was just goofy that I was doing those promos, and I've told the story, but for the younger folks and the new listeners, I will attempt to recap in as concise a way as possible. I had done a call-in to Kevin Kelly's program on the WWF website, Bite This, B-Y-T-E, Bite This. The internet was brand new. Their website was brand new. They had an audio program that absolutely nobody listened to. And Kevin told me this. And I said, what do you want me to talk about? He said, well, let's talk about, because this is for like the really, really hardcore listeners. I don't know how many hundreds of people were listening to this thing. And he said, let's talk about the parody that they just did, because they had done the thing on Monday Nitro, WCW, where they Hall and Nash and those guys dressed up as Flair and Arn the Horseman, and they made fun of Arn for being a drunk and Flair for being old and whatever, and just blah, blah, blah. And so I said, okay. I said, we can say anything we want. And Kevin said, yeah, nobody listens to this thing. Okay, so I cut the promo that became the first Cornette's commentary. Eviscerating the NWO guys and taking up for the Horsemen, even though they're still WCW, different company, and talking about the lack of wrestling on both shows, etc. The clip that goes around, the initial one, right? I said that on Bite This, and then I went about my merry way. A couple days later, Vince calls me, and pal, what'd you say on Bite This? Oh, shit. Vince, they told me I could say anything I wanted to. Come to find out, more people had listened to and or commented on that program than all the other ones they had done to that point combined. And Vince says he wants me to do it on Raw. What? I said, Vince, did you listen to it? He said, well, I heard about it. He ain't going to. I guarantee you to this day, Vince McMahon has not sat down and listened to one segment of my audio or probably anybody else's. But I said, I was kind of putting the other company over, and he said, yeah, do it. He just wanted something that people would talk about, the Monday Night Wars, get attention. It was kind of shoot, but I knew not to just eviscerate the WWF. As I said one time to one of the production assistants, I said, I'm going to knock the WWF for pickpocketing and jaywalking. So when I hit WCW for arson and murder, it's not like I haven't said anything bad about this company. But I did that, and it got a bunch of attention or talk or whatever. And then Russo, of course, his thought was that, well, this is going to make this idiot Cornette an even bigger heel, because nobody wants to hear this shit. We want to see wrestling on a wrestling program, and these guys are disrespectful and blah, blah, blah. Well, they played it on the screen in the building that night at Raw, and I can't remember where it was, but it was an NBA building. It was, a sizable crowd, 10, 12,000. And they fucking popped. I was a babyface, which was not lost on everybody that already knew I was going to be a babyface, but it was actually somewhat lost on Shitstain. And then Vince would have me, oh, Corny, we need a commentary. But it would be when things came up, when the Phil Mushnick thing happened. It was right after Pillman died. Mushnick had written one of those just derogatory about the wrestling business in general and Vince and everybody else, and had taken Pillman's death as an opportunity to do that. And I didn't need to be asked twice to cut a promo on that fucking piece of shit. So we cut that one. And there were a few others, and as I've mentioned, especially on the first one. But for a couple of the others where I really went into someone like Phil Mushnick or WCW Heavy, Vince had me clear it with Jerry McDevitt first, especially the first one, but I'd already said it. So they wanted me to say it again. So I told Jerry McDevitt on the phone what I said. And he said, well, that's all either your opinion or conjecture, whatever, nothing actionable. Right. He said, but you can't go any further than that. I said, well, so for the first time ever, I actually wrote one of my promos down and put it in a teleprompter, or had them put it in the teleprompter, so that I wouldn't go too far and get us sued and only say what had been cleared by the attorney. But I still wrote it. And then they said they'd never had anybody read the teleprompter that quick at the studio. But problem was, he told me he wanted me to say like a 6 or 7 minute fucking deal I'd done. And they formatted it for 3 minutes. So I sounded like the Federal Express guy. Blah, blah, blah. That's why it was so quick. And I think there were one or two others that I had to write clear, put on the teleprompter. There are a couple of others that I just did and weren't so time constrained and didn't have to be so precise and or not slander. But it didn't work for what Russo wanted, because he wanted, people to think I'm an old, out-of-touch asshole, when in actuality, the people in the building that paid to see wrestling and wanted to hear people take up for wrestling and or knock journalists that don't like wrestling, or say, I was appealing to the fans that were there. So he kind of turned on it. But then also, the boys didn't understand what I was doing. Some of them were, well, why is he knocking this company? Well, so they didn't get it. Vince McMahon liked it because people were talking about it. But then it came up that they wanted me to start telling me what the subject was, or what my opinion was of the subject. Not just, hey, cut a promo on that Phil Mushnick. Okay, I'm with that. Or say what you've already said before. Okay. It was, well, why don't you say that? And I didn't want them to tell me what to say, because the problem was everything I was saying was shit I legitimately meant. And somehow I was getting by with it. It didn't sell any tickets. It led to nothing because I wasn't even a television personality at that point. It just meant I had to go to the goddamn studio and do extra work. So I didn't ask to do them. I just waited until they forgot about it, and slowly they faded away, because I didn't care to do the fucking things anyway. To me, it didn't add anything to the wrestling part of the program, or any part of the program, except people wanting to see me take the piss out of what both companies were doing in the fucking way of wrestling. Didn't make any sense to me to be doing that.
All right. Well, does it make sense to you to start your day with a good breakfast?
It certainly does. I'll tell you that right now, because especially I keep starting my days earlier and earlier, to the point where now they start the night before. But you could eat this stuff 24 hours a day, folks. Our friends at Magic Spoon have come up with the incredible formulation for the world's only healthy, good-tasting breakfast cereal that you can eat all day long. If you're trying to cut down on the carbs and the sugar and the unhealthy stuff of all kinds, this is the way to start. 0 sugar, 11 grams of protein, 3 net grams of carbs per serving, and you can build your own custom variety box, because everybody's got a different favorite flavor: cocoa, fruity, frosted, blueberry, peanut butter, and cinnamon. Keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb-free, GMO-free. What the fuck's it not free of? Good taste. It tastes like it's got sugar in it. You can eat it like candy. Go to magicspoon.com/Jim, Jim, and get a variety pack and use the promo code Jim at checkout. Save $5 off your order. It's got the 100% happiness guarantee. If you don't like it, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. But if you don't like this stuff, there's something wrong with you. You can pour milk on it, eat it out of a bowl. You can eat it like candy. Trail mix, you can just snack on it all day long. Magicspoon.com/Jim. Use the code Jim to save $5 off. You will never be sorry. You will never be sorry, old Anderson, because it will never be over until you get your magic spoon custom variety box, baby.
What flavor would Dusty enjoy the most?
I think Dusty would enjoy the frosted, if not the fruity.
What flavor is that again?
The frosted, baby. The frosted. Or the fruity.
Or the fruity.
Or possibly the cinnamon. Cinnamon.
Well, I don't know. Maybe so.
Kabuki. Are you a warrior? Or are you cinnamon?
You know, I'm going to say something very unpopular. I hate that promo from Dusty. Just because to me it's ridiculous. Him doing the whole Brando and Apocalypse Now thing. I always hated that promo.
Well, now, but who would Cody do now? Cody won't do Brandy now. Well, no, wait.
He won't do Brandy?
I won't do Brando now.
I think he's been doing it for a while, Jim.
No, I didn't mean that. Now, stop it now.
She's pregnant.
Just stop it now. Cody wouldn't do Brando. That's old fashioned. Who would Cody do now if he was taken off on, as Gomer used to say, a hot actor in a movie today?
Oh, it has to be a hot actor in a movie today that Cody would do.
Well, because Brando, that was hot then. It was a deal when it was done. So it has to be contemporaneously.
Jeez, I don't know.
I'm glad I don't rely on you often to make this fucking show very entertaining.
You know